Hey everybody, how you doing today? Hope you can hear me okay. Sorry for the little bit of a delay here. I think we just Andrews went right up to time and then mine started after, and I gave it a little bit of a delay and it wasn't quite enough, so we just had to wait a few minutes. Give me a quick thumbs up if you can hear this okay. I'll make sure I'm coming through before I get started. Hey there, Will. Good. Looks like we're all set up, ready to rock and roll. Well, this is good. I created yet another beautiful slide for everybody here. Sort of my morning joke. Hey, thanks you guys. Appreciate it. So I'm going to hide this video and we'll get this thing rolling. So today we're going to do a little talk about keeping a close eye on fundamentals. And I do have a little disclaimer here for you. And here it is. As you may know, I trade mostly technicals, but I trade fundamentals together. So I don't trade fundamentals only. Most of what I do is technical, like it says here, but I am always aware, as you should be, of the news events and the fundamentals at all times. I am by no means a fundamentals guru, but I've taken a lot of courses on it, read a lot of books on it, and what really helped me get to the point I am at right now is experience over the years. So there's nothing that compares to watching these news events come out, and hope you can see me okay. One of the people says can't see you, but it says hi. I'm not getting to be well. See, okay. So hope you can see me okay. Just let me know if it's coming through, and then I'll get started. It's going to be pretty quick today. I'm not going to take a lot of your time up here because I know we're just a little bit behind, but I want to cover some of the main points here. Looks all good. Okay, thanks. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving here in the States for those of you that are here, and I'll be on tomorrow morning doing a talk on taking our trading to the next level. And it's really going to be fun on Friday. Andrew and I are both going to be live. It's going to be, I think, a really good time. So be sure to see that one on Friday morning. So let's get started. Let's see how it looks. So what is fundamental trading? And here's the basics to it. And a lot of you know some of this stuff, some of you don't, but I just want to give you a few little bits of an overview. And then I'm going to show you some of the websites that I personally use each day to keep an eye on the news, the live squawk that I use, some of the websites that I follow, and a little bit more about what I use to trade my own live account every day. Let's see. So we have central banks' fiscal and monetary policy. So in a really condensed nutshell, like I said here, it's the basics. Fiscal is the direction the government works regarding taxation, spending, and borrowing. And the monetary is the action they take to achieve the fiscal policy. So they take monetary action to achieve the fiscal policy. And the more you watch the news, the more you'll learn this stuff. But as far as fundamental goes, that's really what it's about. It's about central banks. It's about interest rates. It's about how much the currency is worth. And when you really boil it down, a lot of people who trade Forex trade based on pips and different things and technicals, but really what moves the market the most is how much the currency is worth. And we saw that with the quote unquote sort of Brexit with the pound. We've seen that in the past if you've been around long enough to see the Swiss franc get the peg get released. And that was a fun day with over 1,000 pips, I think it was, in a couple of minutes. So that's sort of the basics of it. The interest rates equal the value of the currency. The banks can buy currency, their own currency, and hold it in reserves and or increase its supply. So it's sort of like supply and demand. The banks sort of hold their currency back. If they want to build up value, they release it out. They give it out to the public. They give it out to the consumers. They give it out to the businesses at a cheaper rate to lower the value of the currency. And they try to keep it around a certain area based on exports and imports. And that's sort of the guts of things. Now, there's a lot more to it than this. But most of the traders I know, they want to at least know what's going on, but they're not too into studying the details about this because sometimes it doesn't really affect your trading day to day, but it does on the big picture sense. So I think you have to know this to be a successful Forex trader. Let's see. So it looks like the video is coming through. Good. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for saying hi, everybody. So here's some of the key news events to be aware of. And we've seen that today. If I flip over to my other screen here for just a moment on my own, we saw the news today was the unemployment claims and the durable goods from the U.S. dollar. Unemployment claims came in worse than expected for the U.S. And you saw the U.S. dollar just really whip things around and get stronger here in the last half hour. And the pairs have been going a little bit crazy. Interest rate announcements are a big news event to be aware of. as well as GDP, the gross domestic product. The employment reports, this is one that I've been just talking about today, employment reports, unemployment claims, and they're called different things. I know in Great Britain it's called the claimage count, and in different countries, like here in the US, we call it unemployment or the unemployment rate, the unemployment claims. Retail sales is another huge one. When retail sales comes out for a country, you can expect some big whips, especially if the number is outside of what they predict. And that brings me up to another point. And I'm going to talk about this here in a couple of slides. But what happens with these news events, and again, you might know this, but is you have a predicted number that the countries, the gurus, everybody sort of agrees up on the big guys, the big boys and gals. They come up with a number that they think is going to be the result of this news, and they compare it to the last weeks and months and years, and then the news comes out, and if it's better than expected or worse than expected, that's what really, really moves the market. So the thing that was hard for me to learn when I started out, just to be brutally honest with you, is the numbers would come out better or worse than the last set of numbers, but the resulting market move and the currencies would be totally opposite, and it's because it's all about expected. Now, the other tricky thing about fundamental news releases is that they do revisions quite often. And I don't know if you've ever been caught in a revision, but sometimes you'll see on some of these websites, they'll put a little hash mark on them if they revise a previous number. So not only are they coming out with a new number, comparing it to the last number, they're comparing it mainly to the expected number. That's what most of the market move is from. But then they go ahead and revise the old number up or down at a lot of times. So if you're in the chat here, give me a little thumbs up if you've ever seen the numbers revised and you've seen the markets whip around because they say, oh my gosh, something was revised way worse last time. It's worse than we thought. So that can happen, and it happens quite a bit. So there's a lot to learn here, but you can sort of just follow our guidance, if you will, and not be caught with your pants down on this type of stuff. So housing numbers is another one. CPI, commodity price index, is a big one. And then, of course, we have political events, acts of God. So this last one can be the biggest of all. We have the election, like the surprise win by Donald Trump here in the U.S. We have acts of God, like earthquakes, tsunamis. There can be wars that break out, that type of thing. So all that stuff can move the market. And I'm going to show you how I keep on top of that here in just a moment. How can we keep it all under watch? So as a retail trader, yourself, myself, like I'm talking to you just personally right now, one-on-one, how can we keep it under watch? Not talking about the big guys or the banks or these groups and fund managers, but just you and I. And here's some of the ways that I do it on my own. News events list. So number one, we have to have an economic calendar. I think we've all seen this before. Thanks for all the thumbs up. I like the little emojis in this chat room, the little finger like that. And I was talking to Nick on Skype last night with the two dancing girls. I just think it's the weirdest thing. I don't know if it's from a horror movie with the two girls that come down the hallway. What is that movie? I forget. Or something funny. I don't know. So anyway, news events list. In our own Forex Signals chat room, you can click on the economic calendar in the tabs on the left, and you can see the economic calendar right there. I think that's really all you need to do. A lot of traders do use forexfactory.com calendar, and that's a great one too. It gives you some descriptions about each news event if you click on it. And yeah, The Shining. Thanks. Yeah. So the economic calendar is really, really important to watch. And I do not, if you watch my last few videos, I never ever place a trade no matter what, unless I look at the news first, because you don't want to be, like today we have the FOMC coming out, and here in the US it is at 1 o'clock p.m. Yeah, 1 o'clock p.m. FOMC. The FOMC meeting minutes is huge. I mean, the markets, they could whip around. You could have all sorts of issues with your trading. So back to this though. The live news feeds. So you can subscribe and follow some of the bigger banks or some of the bigger websites on Twitter, and you can see the live news feeds. There's some really good sites out there like Forex Live, Daily FX. The list goes on. You can find those, and you can get pretty much up to the date or up to the minute information. Like last night, when the Australian dollar was getting stronger, we were talking in the chat room a little bit about what's making this Aussie so strong, and we found out there was some Moody's released some information. There was also some iron ore contracts, I think with China or something like that. But the point is, you can find the information and you can learn, and over months and years and hundreds and thousands of times of hearing this, you start to sort of get in the rhythm and you get to know what your currencies do. So this next one's probably one of my favorites. This is the live squawk, real-time stuff. You don't need to have this. I mean, most people who do swing trading, intraday trading, even longer term trading, you don't need to have up to the second stuff, because if you're really trying to trade a news release or a news event, you got all sorts of spread issues and fill issues and slippage and things. So that's where the gambling really comes in. Now, if you're just sort of watching your charts and you're about to enter a trade, or you're in a trade and you want to know what's going on in the markets in real time, sometimes it's nice to have that. And to be really honest, since trading currencies, and any type of trading really for that matter, is sort of a lonely thing. Just think about, before this chat room and other groups, you're sort of by yourself doing it. It's sort of nice to have somebody come on and say, this is going on in the stock market, or this is going on with the price of oil, or watch this. And, maybe there's a fat finger thing where somebody at a big bank makes a mistake, and then you can hear about that and everybody chimes in. It's sort of like you're plugged into this community. So what I like to use for my squawk service, I used to use tradethenews.com. I was going to pull up the website here for you, but you can just look it up yourself if you want. A lot of you know about it. They're actually the first one to have the live news squawk, and they started in 1998 for the Forex anyway. So it's tradethenews.com. They're, I think, a little bit pricey, but you can get a free trial. The one that I use now is financialjuice.com. That's financial Juice, JUICE.com. And this is sort of a newer site. It's been around for a while, but it's newer, in the scheme of things. And they do a very similar, maybe even the same live squawk. And you can custom select all your news items that you want. You can turn on stocks. They do a live outcry of the pits in Chicago here in the US, and it's all free. And I mentioned yesterday that a lot of these sites that do free stuff, there's got to be something for them, right? So they sell ads, and that's, I think, what this site does. Or once they get their membership up to hundreds or thousands of people, they start charging money. So some of this stuff really changes. And they're posting some of you guys are posting some links here. So to some other economic calendar. So they're very good. But financialjuice.com, that's the one I was turned on to. Gosh, when was that? Earlier this year, maybe a year ago, half a year ago, something like that. And they're pretty good. They come on at random times. You can turn on different things like the Forex news if you want commodities and things like that. You have to sign up and log in, but it's totally free. I don't even think they have a premium version, to be honest. At least they didn't the last time I checked. I usually my computer logs it on automatically. So that's what I like to watch. And then chat rooms and groups like this. Obviously, there's a lot of them around. There's a lot of big websites that have been around for years. Forex Signals live chat, you get to be sort of this personal group and family of people, and you get to know who you can trust and who you can't, right? And of course, we have the premium room that's coming up starting next week. And it's just a place where we can all get together and share ideas and make sure that we're all on top of the news events and none of us are getting too surprised and blowing out our accounts, losing a bunch of money. So how does fundamental analysis apply to Forex trading? First of all, if you're new to this industry, you really need to remember that news events can be priced in, and I put it in quotes. I never like doing the air quote thing, but news events can be priced in. The results can be priced in. For example, let's say, and this is where you have to have a few levels of thought. Let's say people thought the stock market would crash after Trump got elected. You saw what happened the night that it was going on. The Dow futures were down 800, 900 points, and then they came all the way back. If the U.S. raises interest rates, the U.S. dollar gets a lot stronger. So the better the U.S. economy is doing, the more likely they're going to raise interest rates later on and make the dollar stronger. So for these different news events, these different political things like elections, it implies strength to a currency, assuming that it will get raised later. So when the interest rate announcement comes out in whatever time, if the rates go up, new traders would say, oh my gosh, this is going to be huge. But sometimes it doesn't go up as much, or sometimes it comes out higher as we expected, and we all knew about it for weeks, or at least the big guys did, and the prices don't really move much. So you have to be sort of aware, and that's what makes Forex trading a little bit hard to learn for people, especially new people. When I started out, 10 years ago or so, is that this stuff can be priced in. I mean, the markets in technical analysis, in theory, basically says that everything that the entire world knows about a pair, let's look at the dollar yen right now, everything that's the whole entire world knows, all the traders know, all the big banks know, all the retail traders like you and I know, all the fund managers know, everything is at that price right now. So right now, the dollar yen is at 112.35, and that is pricing in everything in the world. And that's why fundamental traders sometimes look and try to get the edge, but then technical traders say, well, it's already in. Everything's already in the way it is. So you have to get the feel of this, and that's where the art of this comes in. Trading Forex and currencies, commodities, that types of things like oil and silver and gold, it's really an art. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. First of all, you have to know the facts and you have to study the psychology and the things we talked about. But really getting good at it is a true art. Patience is the mother of skill. And I put yes again because I've said this for the last couple of weeks now. Patience is the mother of skill. If you don't have a trade that's going your way, if you don't have a setup that's quite where you want it to be, don't take it and just wait. If you wait for it to come to the point where you want to get in and you get in, you're going to save money. If you get in early and then it goes back down, you're wasting money. So set up your ideal trades as using the steps I talked about yesterday and the day before. Set them up on the charts the way that you'll want to set them up, whether you're using technicals, fundamentals, whatever it is, and be patient and wait for that time to get there. And that's where we talk about limit orders and having pending orders, sitting there waiting for the market to come to meet you where they want to be. Cut risk or exit trades before the major news due to these things. So this is the stuff us traders hate, and it's really interesting, but slippage from brokers, that means we get poor fills on either side of the trade. So slippage means if you're going to, let's say you're going to sell the dollar yen at 112.31 where it is right now, and you put on your trade, you got your spread of whatever it is, either it's zero with a commission account or it's a pip or two, let's say, and you click it and it doesn't fill it doesn't fill at your price. It fills 2 to 3 pips away or even 10 pips away because there's news going on and there's the liquidity in the market is fluctuating so much. Different brokers are better at this than others, but they all say, hey, it's market time. So you want to get in or get out of trades at least a few minutes before or after news events and not trying to get in right there. Pending orders can get the slippage too. So sort of tough. Spreads. We've all seen spreads widen. You can get fixed spread Forex accounts these days, but the spreads are generally more, and when there's not news events, you're paying a little bit more all the time so that they're fixed. And sometimes some of those brokers are sort of bucket shops and they don't really put your order into the interbank market. But the spreads definitely get big. A normal spread on the dollar yen, whether it's 0 to a pip and a half most times, with news events, it can go to 5 to 10 to 15 pips even. And we know that, of course, this happens over the weekend too. On Friday, when the market closes at the end of the week or when it opens up Sunday night here in the US, the spreads can be very big for the last hour and the first hour. So you can hold trades over the weekend. I do sometimes if I have a lot of profit going, but I just don't like to hold them over the weekend, and including the big news events. And gaps after and during the news event. There's traders out there that trade entirely based on gaps because there's a lot of psychology that goes on with traders where if there's a gap up or down, everybody that we know says the gap's going to fill. The markets don't like gaps. And it's true, but it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because that's what traders do. They want to try to fill that gap. Doesn't always fill though. You can be caught, with bad spreads and the gaps at the same time. So and unpredictability. You just never know the results at times. Look, if you just sit back and sort of cross your arms and think about things, you just don't know for sure. So if you have a good trend line based strategy in play, if you have a trend continuation strategy in play, if you have a pattern, say you're trading a head and shoulders pattern on a certain pair and you're looking at the other correlated pairs and everything looks good and there's a big news event, my advice is just get out, wait for the news event, and then after it's done, wait a while and then get back in if you want to get back in, because sometimes it'll blow that pattern away. You just never know. And I think if you're going to be a professional trader, whether you're full-time or part-time, you have to be conservative and try to preserve that capital. Preserving capital is so much more important than trying to make the profits. Excuse me. So how does fundamental analysis apply to Forex trading? Again, first note is that news events can be priced in, and fundamentals can help traders determine an overall bias on a currency. So I think I have another one here. Yeah, multiple news events of the same bias direction can provide high volatility. So what I'm trying to say with these points is, take the Australian dollar, for example. If there's bad news about the currency, let's say the interest rates go down. Let's say the retail sales are down. The home sales are down. The employment numbers are down later on in the week. You put that all together, the currency is just going to get destroyed and beat up in the Forex markets. And that's when you and I can jump in and take advantage of that volatility and make some profit. So we want the news events, at least in my opinion, to not come out as predicted all the time so that we get that volatility, because volatility means that the market's going to move, and that's how we make our profit. So you want to look at, I like to look back, when I start my week, I look at Forex Factory or the economic calendar here, one of the two. And I look back at the news that has happened the day before. Obviously, I look at the news that's going to happen the day that I'm trading. And I look back a few days, and even look back the week before. So if I see really strong, let's say, Great British Pound news happened yesterday, but the 3 major news events last week were all bad, I got to sort of say, wait a minute, I'm sort of mixed on this right now. My overall bias fundamentally is sort of mixed. But if you see really strong news over and over again, you can get your bias in your head that the fundamentals are strong. And if it matches with the technical charts and the long-term trends are up and you're looking for a retrace to buy, you put it all together. That's what it is. That's why we mix them up. So that's really my sort of overall take on fundamental analysis. There is so much more to it. There's books, there's courses. When we get in the premium room, we're going to have topics based just on this stuff so we can get in deeper, looking at the commitment of traders reports, the COT reports, if those of you look at that sometimes. That's where the big banks are thinking currencies are going to go. There's just so many more things to cover. But for a newbie, we've got to know that there's a reason why these pairs move. We want to know how they move, why they move, who really moves them. If you and I put an order on, it's not going to move the market at all. If hundreds of us do, it's not going to move the market at all. I mean, there's trillions of dollars in the market, $5 to $6 trillion a day on average, I believe now. So let's see if there's anything in the chat. All sorts of notes here. Let's see. Yeah, questions about brokers and things like that. Yeah, people are freaking out about the market. The markets are really moving right now. If you're watching this video in the future, it's the day before Thanksgiving, and the markets are really moving. Gold and silver is going down. Dollar's getting stronger. But more is going to be covered in the weeks ahead with the premium room. We start next week, Monday. I believe that's the 28th. And we are getting things set up now. It's sort of fun to create this stuff in real time. So tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about taking your trading to the next level. And we're going to be talking about all sorts of things like Fibonacci trading, compounding profits, getting the mindset of success. It's going to be a nice talk tomorrow. And tomorrow, for those of you in the US, yes, it's Thanksgiving. I'll still be here at 9 o'clock Central Time doing this talk, and Andrew will be on earlier, of course. And then Friday, we're going to be doing a chat. We changed the time, so check out the set schedules. We did change it. I think it was yesterday. We're going to do 7:45 a.m. Central Chicago US time. And you can look at the time. It's all set to your local time there. Andrew and I are going to come on for the first time ever together. I'm going to try to share our screens via Skype. And we're going to go over some of the common question and answers that those of you in the room have had. And just sort of hang out with you like we're friends going out to dinner, going out for a beer, and just sort of talk about what we're going to do in the premium room and our thoughts on the whole process from start to finish. So that's all I have for now, guys. Sorry to keep it sort of short, but I will be in touch with you soon. And I'll be in the chat room throughout the day today, too. I got a lot of free time later on, so it's going to be a good day to be doing some trading and getting to know all you a little bit more. Thanks for watching. Happy trading.